So, since we have a lot to cover today, Josh and myself, Nicole will get things started. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody so much for coming and joining us today for Launch to Loyalty, our first session as part of our Career Center Marketing Masterclass. This one is dedicated to launching for success. I am Nicole Matze. I am the marketing manager here at Web Scribble, and I'm super excited to dive into some marketing tactics to really help you market your career center like a pro. I am here today with my colleague Josh Slyman, who is Director of Product Strategy at Web Scribble, and I'll let Josh introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. As Nicole mentioned, my name is Josh Slyman. I am Director of Product Strategy here. Try to help align the product with its end use by our key stakeholders. Prior to that, I was with HireLogic on the strategic services team, and prior to that, with Informs, which was an association email service provider. And the reason I mention this mostly is because our approach really is sort of structured on this idea that we execute within these this ecosystem of technology, and so how can we utilize that full ecoscape to drive our own goals. So super excited to chat with you all. As I mentioned, I apologize if I get nerdy on this. It is my favorite, one of my favorite topics for sure, and I'm super excited to be here with Nicole. So again, super excited. This is a three-part series. Very excited to kick it off with you. This session is really about pre-launch and launch, sort of setting your career center up for long-term success, trying to start with a strategic launch, thinking through some of the big picture items, and again, that entire ecoscape and how can we drive engagement, utilizing the tools and the emotional connection with the career center.
Yeah, and today we'll go beyond some launch day logistics. We'll really dive into the positioning, the messaging, internal buy-in, and just how to use your existing tools to really build some momentum. And then I know that today's session is CAE eligible, and you will be receiving upon the completion of this webinar a confirmation of your attendance that you can reference at a later time for proof when it comes to claiming your CAE credit. As always, we're here as a resource, so if you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out or shout if you need assistance. So we'll be happy to help with that. And we're excited to get into it.
Yeah,
So I think
super.
first and foremost, we kind of want to see where everybody's at in their career center journey. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll. Oh, and of course, I have like both my questions here. So you can kind of ignore this one if you want the second question. But first question, are you in the pre-launch phase right now? Are you maybe launching soon? You recently launched, or maybe you're considering of relaunching, or even just still exploring some options. So I'll give everyone a second to kind of gather their thoughts here. Doo, doo, doo.
Very even, very even.
Yeah, even splits. So far, it seems like it goes back and forth. But it seems like a lot of you are maybe entertaining the idea of relaunching and seem to be in that phase. A large majority of you also seem to have recently launched. And of course, some of you are launching soon, which is good to hear. We can hopefully assist and help you to a successful path and a successful launch. And a couple of you are still exploring. So I
Yeah.
think that's
And I
perfect.
think all the tactics and things we're going to talk about today really are sort of relevant across this variety of use cases. So I think will provide value for everybody here. All right. So let's think about pre-launch is sort of, it's really about setting a foundation, right? Creating some opportunities, some support, helping to align leadership, get teams excited, start to build curiosity across your community. So there's some real opportunity in this pre-launch stage.
Exactly, Josh. And I think that's something that we want to just emphasize overall, is that it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's just about like internal clarity. As an example, can your membership team explain why the Career Center matters? Can marketing speak to it on how it can support member value? So really kind of doing a holistic approach, and just keeping it in mind that it doesn't have to be super complicated.
So there's really when we're sort of thinking about four key things when we're in this pre-launch stage, and often really sort of very important and often overlooked is this idea of getting internal buy-in. So looking across the other departments, the other people in the organization that can really sort of support and identify and help provide reasoning and justification for the job board, and that really it allows it to sort of be wide and deep as we say in the organization. Then you also want to look for all of the opportunities to really connect the career center to what you're already doing. Um, I think it's important that we already have so many things going and we don't want to just throw another thing on as a fresh new approach, right? But there's so many opportunities to leverage what we're already doing or tools we're not using in order to really set this again, sort of set the stage for this pre-launch. Of course, you want to be building anticipation, understanding across your stakeholders, and finally, you really want to make sure you're using this to leverage and increase your brand authority.
Yeah, I think that's great insight, Josh. And just an example, we did have a client who decided to engage and loop in their credentialing team early, and they saw an opportunity to really make the Career Center part of certification completion emails. So they got to see some early success and alignment with that. So that's just an example of how integrating like the Career Center into other pieces of what you're already doing can really drive that alignment across teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Look for places your career center can enhance what's already happening, like make it part of the daily rhythm wherever possible. Also internally and externally. We also want to sort of build that same momentum in our members and our users.
Yeah. And let's talk about setting your career center and launch up for success, obviously before it even goes live. These pre-launch strategies that you see here are really to help ensure internal alignment and early momentum. So I want to kick it off with the first couple. So sharing a clear launch overview, it goes without saying that before you do anything else, you want to make sure that your staff and leadership really understand what the Career Center actually is, and more importantly, why it matters. Maybe you create a short internal deck, or an update of some sort that explains how the platform is going to support member value, how it's going to drive non-dues revenue, and just really aligns with your broader mission. This is really like a great opportunity to help connect the dots and get everyone speaking the same language about the launch. And then number two is really going to be important to solve cross-team challenges. And this is a great chance to build support too. I think it goes without saying too that different teams care about different things. So it's important and instrumental to really demonstrate how the Career Center is going to help each of them. When you're thinking about membership, when you're thinking about events, when you're thinking about education, maybe this is a place for it to reinforce value and drive retention for membership. It could open up new opportunities for either employer or sponsorship engagement on the event side. And then for education, the Career Center ties in really nicely with credentialing, learning paths, and professional development goals. And really just frame it overall as a solution and not just a new tool.
Absolutely. There's so much opportunity to really sort of help across the organization to use the value, the emotional driver in career growth and career advancement. Um, so I think again, this really goes back to sort of getting internal buy-in. So, getting internal champions, another huge asset. Team members, especially now that we've spoken to our other departments and sort of identified some of the ways that the Career Center can support them, right? Like bring them in as champions, and then really, and again, then use this opportunity to connect that to existing priorities. And so things that are already happening, or initiatives or metrics you're trying to move, look for opportunities where you can use the power of the launch, the power of careers, the emotional connector to drive and other organizational goals.
And I think that's the perfect segue into this slide. Messaging matters a lot. And oftentimes, I think launches fall flat if people really just don't understand the value, or worse, they think that it's not for them. They think that the Career Center isn't something that's going to help further their goals and initiatives, maybe departmentally. So they really don't cling to the idea or get on board early for some of the success that it could have. And this is really a place where member first language really shines. Whether you're speaking to members, you're speaking to non-members, employers, or even your own team, I think you need to really just hone in and tailor that messaging about what they care about. And then speaking of members, this isn't just a job board. It's really a place where they can grow professionally and connect with purpose, and stay aligned with your overall mission. Your message here might sound like something similar to advancing your mission. We use this language a lot, because we know mission is obviously central to your association and drives everything that you do. And so you don't want this to be any different. You want your mission to really be echoed throughout your overall just career center strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then there's an opportunity with non-members, right? Language and changes a little bit, but this is a great opportunity to drive new engagement, to activate the next generation, to open up a new member funnel. But your messaging might be slightly different. Where a career, where a member you may be speaking about resources and tools for advancing careers. With non-members, you have the opportunity to have a conversation around membership, about joining, about the benefits, and it's a great place to bring in. I know this is a struggle to bring in the next generation, the younger crowd. That they're out there looking for jobs and presenting yourself as an organization as an answer to that, especially as the world shifts a little bit and some of the bigger, more advanced job boards are less effective. Recruiters and job seekers are seeking new avenues for the better ways to highlight themselves and to stand out within a segmented group of people.
Exactly.
Uh,
Oh, sorry, Josh.
No, I was just going to mention, yeah, on the employer side, right? Like there's, they're looking for access to qualified, dedicated, educated, certified people, which is exactly what that the association Ecoscape brings. And so, I think again that's going to change your language a little bit in how you present that value to them. So, just sort of taking a moment in this pre-launch phase to take a look at who you're talking to, what the goals are you're trying to drive, and then aligning that messaging is a great way to spend this sort of early phase where we're not quite ready to send traffic to a job board.
Exactly. And then last not but not least, we talked a little bit about internal staff and leadership, but just really reinforcing the bigger picture and how the Career Center is a really wonderful member benefit, but that's not all that is. You can really map it back and use it for a tool for retention, revenue, and brand alignment. So just to kind of just reinforce the bigger picture at all times for what it's going to do beyond just offer an immense member benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. So just, summing it up, like you want a message that's really sort of accessible, personalized, deeply aligned with what the audience values, which is often aligned with the association's mission, with personal growth. It's such a powerful, emotionally driven tool. The ability to advance, to grow, to make more money, to support your family, right? There's so much tied to careers and growth and advancement that it really does become a powerful tool in driving engagement and value for members.
And this is your
All right,
favorite thing
let's.
to talk about, Josh. I'm excited for you to walk everybody through the association ecosystem.
So this is one of my favorite little visualizations because for a long time I was trying to sort of wrap my head around all these tools and how they work together, and so this is, I know, this is a typical example. I know some of you may have more or less of this within your tech stack, but essentially this is sort of a standard association tech stack. Um, and it's really how you all deliver benefits digitally, right? And so what I'm always thinking about is like, how can we utilize this as a whole tool set, right? And this goes back to how I got here. How do we use email and community and careers, right, to serve our mission, to drive member engagement, to support retention, to drive new non-dues revenue, to find new members, right? Like all the things we ultimately want this job board to do. And so, I just wanted to sort of give this visualization as we sort of talk through this, because I think it helps to remember that, these are sort of all communication tools, value tools, benefit tools that we're using. And sort of just to talk through this, it's basically the AMS, which holds our member data and a lot of our sort of behavioral data. You all have a website. Beyond you, generally speaking, through a login wall, we have access to a learning management system, an online community, a job board, an events module. And all of these things, to a large degree, are connected, especially when we think about that member path through professional development and education, and how we deliver it through an LMS and a job board and events. And so there becomes a lot of opportunity to think cross-functionally through in marketing your career center. Again, from a pre-launch standpoint, this is really mostly perspective, and meant to get the conversation started on how can we utilize these tools to drive our end goals. So this sort of now ties back to, this digital ecoscape that we've created, and really one of the most important things we can do that in pre-launch is, and ultimately to increase long-term engagement, is to reduce friction. Right. So these are sort of all examples of ways that we can think or approach reducing friction in the pre-launch stage. So SSO really, it allows members to move quickly and easily between the platforms, not having to log in again. So the great example of reducing friction and opening up access. Utilizing platform features and functions, integrations, widgets, display ads are great tools that a lot of times we're not really thinking about in terms of marketing the career center, and then obviously anytime we can increase efficiencies or reduce our internal lift, right, that reduces friction for us. And so we want to look at how can we use analytics and automations in the platforms that already exist, in order to move some of these engagement goals forward, especially as we sort of move into the launch phase.
I think that's the perfect segue to this slide. So really just looking at the integrated impact that Josh was speaking to by connecting platforms and really seeing success. And one of our association partners at the Association of Corporate Counsel, ACC, is a really shining example of integrating their career center with their association ecosystem to drive results. And by implementing a purposeful strategy, a community and app integration with their career center, they got to see some noticeable results like an increase of 40% in job searches, 19% increase in employer logins, and then a 50% resume upload increase as well. And so these results are really just showing the powerful impact of a well-integrated career center in terms of driving deeper engagement across your association's ecosystem that Josh was speaking to.
Yeah, and they ACC has done a great job of really thinking across the platform, looking for ways to um, drive traffic and interest across the platform, segmenting information. They have role-based communities. Those role-based communities have targeted widgets for job opportunities in them. So when somebody is in their community, joining a discussion in a role-based space, they are seeing role-based job opportunities. And so again, just the opportunities to make some of these connections and pull these pieces together a little bit. Again, and this is meant to be sort of pre-launch perspective. Here's some ways that we can think about our assets, our tools at hand, the things that we're already doing intentionally in order to reduce friction in that.
So now we can launch into some pre-launch tactics. And I think that it's important when we're talking about some of the tactics. Good, better, best doesn't necessarily mean that like good is the worst that you can do here. It's really about matching your capacity to your goals. So we want to make sure that your goals are, realistic in terms of what maybe your bandwidth is, maybe what your team's capabilities are. But yeah, just good doesn't necessarily mean bad when we're talking about this here.
We are very much cognizant of the fact that if you've met one association, you've met one association. Everyone has their own niche and specialty, and so it's really meant to, and size and group of members, and so this is really meant to just sort of offer opportunity to show the scalability of this approach in both in pre-launch and in launch tactics. So, for websites, coming soon banner on the top of the website drives curiosity. That's great, right? But even better, maybe we can have a branded landing page that collects people who are job seeking, who are interested, or employers who are looking to work with or find specialized talent. You can embed a widget in your LMS or again within your community. So members are seeing the benefits of the job platform before even launching.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's same for email, really. When you're thinking like maybe a teaser series with a strong call to action can outperform, like a lengthy announcement. And then maybe when you add social to the mix, you can think about things like teaser graphics. Maybe these are short staff videos, or even get into it with some countdowns. We've seen some really just original things that some association partners have done to really build the buzz early. And they really just worked with what they had. They had a presence on social media, so they looked to it to see how they could create, some urgency and just some buzz using some social media campaigns like a countdown and trying to really just build the excitement at the pre-launch stage and saw success early there.
Also great again, my community background. It's a great opportunity to create a community discussion or create even a career community that is specific to maybe job seekers, maybe not even members. So it's an open community so that again we're sort of using the tools together as a way to open up or service that new member prospecting funnel. But again, great. There's opportunities sort of across the channels, and that's really what we want you to think about. And then, of course, do what you can. If a homepage banner is what's possible, great. But if you have a little bit bigger team with a little bit more resources, and you can get a branding page up with and collect some data, like even better. If you can work it into your navigation and your emails and your newsletters and your conversations that are happening elsewhere, if you can talk about it in webinars or meetings, like all of these are great opportunities to start to just get the conversation going, people excited, and we're already doing these things. So it's really a lot of times it's like adding a talking point to a presentation or mentioning it in at the end of a webinar. Especially if that webinar happens to be professional development or something learning based, so there's all of these great opportunities to think about this and to start early and to start putting some of these pieces into play in the pre-launch stage, using coming soon language, positioning it around driving mission, around growth.
Agreed, Josh. I think that's perfect. And then earlier we had launched a poll, and so I have some preliminary results, but I'm going to go ahead and relaunch it. In terms of question number 2 is what you want to focus on here. So, which communication channels do you use regularly? You can check all that apply here. There's also an easy selection for you if you're like, yeah, all of them. I do all the above. Feel free to select that one as well. I'll give people a second to kind of chime in, but so far, I am not surprised that a lot of you are engaging in all or most of these communication channels that are listed. I think with the biggest was email. Now it seems to be really nicely split between email, website, and social. And then the rest of you are pretty much all of the above. I think where there looks to be maybe an area for opportunity is in the community space and the events side of things. 10% of you had mentioned community and really engaging with that channel, but then also events. So I think that maybe shows us some areas of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Very good feedback. So let's move on to launch, get out of the pre-launch phase here and start talking about launch as a strategic lever. And really it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to help members understand and to adopt from the beginning. And so that's really what we want to do. We want to sort of lead with purpose, and drive our end goals from the beginning. So obviously, again, these are the sort of the main benefits of really a focused and purposeful launch, right? Like we're going to drive early adoption and awareness. We want to bring up the visibility. We want people to really sort of anticipate and understand that the Career Center is coming. But also important to note, and it sort of started with this, but that really this is just the starting point, right? This is a long-term tool that people use to walk a journey, and so we're going to walk them down that journey, and we're going to walk you all down that journey too, with through the next few sessions. But really, this is where we can start to set up ourselves for success and plan for return on investment, driving end goals, and really sort of being purposeful with our execution. Obviously, it also helps us set the tone, right? Create an understanding of value, align it with mission, align it with member goals. The opportunity here to build trust and long-term retention by sort of again serving that full career journey. But our language needs to start early, right? And we need to acknowledge that we know it's a journey. So shifting our language from pre-launch to launch makes a difference, and it gives us a new engagement point. It gives us something fresh for members to see. So I think it is an important thing to acknowledge. And then, of course, as sort of mentioned, but yeah, it really sort of pushes momentum going forward.
Yeah, and really the goal here is to drive that early interaction. So clicks, logins, searches, and uploads. Really, when members engage the right way and they have a pleasant experience, they're way more likely to come back. So we want to do that early as possible. And then when we're looking at, or when we think about your digital presence as an association, your career center shouldn't just be over there on the side. It should be one of the places that your career content shows up, the more value that you're going to create for both members as well as employers, and even non-members, honestly. That just means more ROI for you. So I'm excited to have Josh walk you through some of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, this sort of goes back to this full ecoscape approach that we're talking about, right? We want to make sure that we're utilizing the tools at hand. And so we want to, AMS is there to track member behavior, preferences, engagement. Um, are you integrated with the Career Center integrated with the AMS so that you're capturing that valuable data, right? LMS again, we're careers or professional development and certifications. Are we tying career opportunities together, career guides or learning opportunities within the Career Center to specific uh, certifications or professional development or courses, because those ultimately grow the member and offer them new opportunities. And I think that's the connection we're trying to draw. And when they've taken a course or a certification, right? Are we encouraging them to update their profile with that information and their resume? And when we set up our profile, did we include those certifications on it so they could check them in so that we could search by them? That ties back a little bit to the pre-launch stuff, but again, sort of thinking out the big picture. Obviously, and it sounded like, I know we had quite a few, all of the aboves in there and a few communities, but again, it's a natural place to surface conversations around career, to utilize job widgets, but not just in community, like on the website as a whole. Like a lot of times we'll have role specific content or articles or pages within the website. So are we utilizing and showcasing job search opportunities or job opportunities as a whole there? So yeah, there's tons of opportunities sort of across this ecoscape to really tie the pieces together.
And I think too, community was one of those that people were saying that they weren't utilizing, but then also maybe the event space. So the event space is a great opportunity, and we've seen a lot of our association partners really push that career content during conferences, like at their annual conference, or if they're doing things like career fairs with booths to feature, top jobs in the app, or maybe a digital program that's going on. It's not only helpful to members, it really becomes a new sponsor opportunity for employers and recruiters as well. And then obviously marketing and email are always going to be one of your biggest levers to pull. Use your campaigns to personalize job and resource recommendations really based on the lifestyle or life cycle stage, interest, or behavior of the member. It really keeps your messaging relevant and and positions your association as a true career partner, not just a source of information. So these are really personalized, relevant job opportunities that are being delivered and almost curated for that person. So it gets really personalized. And when your messaging is really tailored, that's when you're going to get the best results and the most engagement. So.
And this is another one of those tools. Job alerts is a great opportunity to engage members without them having to necessarily come back into the ecosystem every time, but it's a touch point that adds value. Again, sort of understanding where we want people to engage and so encouraging signups around job alerts and maintaining profile is it's a good call to action during the launch stage.
Yeah, and even beyond. I think our job watch is a beloved email and a really superstar in terms of engagement with members. Members really care. They care about what job opportunities there are out there and they like to browse. The open rates are consistently very high. And this is really just an open door to your career center and something that you can do at all stages throughout, whether it's, pre-launch or launch, building the excitement, obviously at pre-launch, but then once you hit launch, to really engage in those job watch emails.
So, so what does a successful launch look like? Well, the truth is, it's different for everybody. And so really what we encourage is setting goals, tying them to existing initiatives, existing programs. And but then also, especially in the launch phase, we want to look at these types of things. We want to have an understanding of are people visiting the platform? Are members logging in? Are there jobs being posted? People applying for them? I think it's really important to track these metrics and to benchmark against yourself. But also important to remember that it's almost impossible to move every metric at once. So I think really what we're looking for here in the launch phase is while these metrics are important, really what we're interested in is campaign clicks, engagement, member feedback, right? We want to see if the tools we're activating to drive traffic, the pieces, the levers we're pulling are doing what we want them to do, and then ultimately are they driving those visits, logins, applies. But really, again, sort of launch is about setting the foundation. It's going to be an uphill battle, not a battle so much as it's just it's a path, right? And just like building community, it takes a while to get people's traction and to get people to understand the value. And nobody nobody converts on one email. Let's be honest. And so we have to make sure that we're reminding people of the value, we're showing to them, we're tying it to the other things that we're doing that they see value in.
I think that's great, Josh. Obviously, I think it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think the thing that I really like the most that you said is please like don't try and move every single metric that you see listed here. Obviously, like some of these can indicate early success, but don't get too wrapped up in each metric and think that you're a failure because you're not crushing every single one of these just yet.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's very hard to to move them all at once. I tried.
And I think this is a great place to kind of pause and just check in with you all. We've covered a lot and we want to know any questions. Do you have any insight or feedback so far? I know I do have a question that's sitting here about some of the different communications about the job board if we'll be providing text. We do have a nice resource that is bundled up and packaged for you, which we will be sending immediately following this session. It is our pre-launch and launch playbook, so to speak. And we hope that there's some really helpful information that's in there for you. You can also access it. It's set up as a resource through this Zoom event and can be accessed as well in the library. So feel free to poke around there. You can directly download. It is ungated. You don't need to input anything to access it. But just remember, we'll be sending you a copy of it immediately following the presentation as well. So rest assured, you don't have to take notes like crazy. Hopefully we have some helpful information in there for you. And then I do have an anonymous question. Does your launch advice change if an association has an existing monetized job board that is transitioning to Web Scribble? That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, our approach is the same. Like we should look across our ecoscape, we should find the things that are already working. Um, but I also think if you have additional data, which you would have coming from with a transition, we'd want to utilize that, right, to refine our tactics, to change our language based on what we know, because so yeah, I think there's certainly some things that we would want to shift and use your previous understanding to maximize the efforts. But I think generally speaking, right, we're still going to look across or advise you to look sort of across your ecoscape. What can you do? Where can we tie it in that we weren't before? How can we, if something wasn't working, how can we change the language or reposition it? I think one of the things that's interesting, a lot of times we have a tendency as marketers and is to speak, like to deliver our end goal as the call to action. So like register for this webinar, right? Like that's actually a hoop we're asking somebody to jump through. So we're delivering our metric, which is like, hey, I need to get a bunch of registrations. But really, what we're delivering is value. And so if we reposition that call to action to be like, join us for this piece of value, that changes the perspective. And so, I think again, that's just another one of those opportunities to sort of reposition and target the way we're thinking, so that we're putting member first and delivering the value based on what we know about our membership. Like
Absolutely.
that.
I
Hopefully that
agree.
was helpful. All right, great. So let's talk about like the weekish of launch. Not that this is a hard and fast timeline, but hey, what can we do the week we're going to launch, the days, the week after launch? So we just want to like give you some things to be thinking about. But again, and we position this as sort of good, better, best, but it's really just about matching your capacity, matching resources, matching your channels, right, to your goals. And so we just wanted to sort of offer that sort of scalability as we sort of talk through these tactics.
Exactly. And as you're looking like at the channel, like your website, it's really important that you're trying to increase visibility and action where it matters most. Some of the examples here, obviously adding a homepage launch banner maybe, or a hero image with a strong CTA or a call to action, is good, but maybe we take it a step further and highlight the job board across multiple web pages. Maybe we do a blog post about it. Maybe we promote it on social. And then I think Josh, you can kind of walk through
Yeah.
focusing on
And
the
then also again, we take advantage of the tools that are available, right? So you utilize the widgets and get those out early, so people get accustomed to leveraging them. Put them in high traffic areas, tie them to pieces that we're already doing. Utilize display advertising space that might be going unutilized within your email platform or your email, all of them, right? Also, essentially, most of these platforms have some level of display advertising available. Most of us aren't using them. We can use that to drive internal traffic and to drive goals and things around this ecoscape. So, again, that's another place where we can, leverage the website tactically, sort of cohesively, to drive more visibility.
And I think when you're thinking about it too, it's like maybe you think of the Career Center as like, your newest offering as the association and drive, market it the way that you would market maybe your annual event or something like that. If you see different places on your website where it makes sense to link career, I think then that makes like a very organic, great place to really push and promote the Career Center there. So just trying to find those areas of opportunity.
Another powerful tool that I think goes unutilized website wise is navigation. Just again, sort of pulling the pieces together. Like, yes, you can link to the Career Center, but you could link directly to the employer directory as part of a directory. You could link to job search as its own thing. You could link to career guides as its own thing. You can break these tools up and put them in your standard navigation in order to raise their visibility, and or to give them individual calls to action.
Totally. And I think that's a great point, Josh, too, about just having like the right visibility in your navigation. Too many times I feel like we see the Career Center get buried. And I know we're a little bit biased, because we really care about the visibility of the Career Center. But the truth is that it really is one of those resources that is going to be valuable to members. And it's something that should be able to further your mission and really just create, that credibility as seeing you as the go-to source when your members and non-members and employers are thinking about careers or hiring their next candidate. You just want to make sure that it's easy to find. So let's like try and prioritize it in the nav if possible.
Awesome. So email, again, obviously we can send in one email, and that's good. It will drive some traffic. It will bring some visibility. But if we can create a segmented campaign, maybe that has a few emails, that some to employers or some to members or non-members, maybe you have a prospecting list for non-members. So again, there's a great opportunity there to sort of think a little bit bigger with it. Or even bigger, can we add it to our current lifecycle campaigns? What's already going out in new member welcome or renewal? If we're sending out renewal emails, are we throwing job opportunities in for them? Are we reminding them of the reason that they may have joined? Which always one of ASA's most standard reason or most important reasons for joining is career growth and access. And so are we utilizing that in renewal, lapsed member, event marketing? So again, I think there's opportunity in expanding those email tactics. Yes, one email is great, a series of emails even better, but can it be part of our standard communication package, right? Like how does it get communicated out through our available email channels?
Exactly. And then when you're looking at social media, you really want to generate that buzz and get that visibility. So, doing a branded launch day post with a direct link is good. But, like maybe you do something a little bit more and step it up with a launch and launch a full week long social campaign that, is a little bit more complex with video demos, member spotlights, and just staff picks. So just the idea here is if you have your social media channels, if you're, pushing content there, the Career Center fits nicely, and approach it like something else that you would, in terms of marketing best practices. Having a more robust campaign that's dedicated to the Career Center is obviously going to yield more results than just one branded post.
I always think about social as the opportunity to project and the opportunity to prospect. And so again, I think there's opportunity right in social media to draw people into our ecoscape and send them to the Career Center, especially non-members, open up that relationship and have a directional path for them. But it's also a great opportunity to project and to showcase success of members who have been hired, or of jobs specifically, because again, that's another great emotional connector. So using those real solid opportunities in your social media, great opportunity to prospect and to project.
And your favorite, Josh, community tab.
Yes, community. So, again, we can post a link in a discussion, talk about the new Career Center. We could also, even better, start a member Q&A. Have a thread going about with career discussion tips, or or a career expert or somebody from your community team or your engagement team, providing tips and some of the career resources from career articles and in the community. Even better, host an AMA, bring people in, walk people through the career center, show them the value. Have a office hours Friday or once a month, or where not only you walk them through the career center, but you show them the whole asset of collection of benefits. So and if you're already doing that, amazing. Don't forget the career center.
Agreed. And then I
Right. That
think,
is,
oh
go
yeah, go
ahead. Sorry. No, no.
ahead. He's so excited to talk about ecosystem. But as Josh had really laid out nicely, integrating your career center with what matters the most. So really meeting your members, your employers, and non-members and beyond, where they are. And that could be within your LMS, within your events, within your community to really boost that visibility and bring member value. And so, with your LMS, you're aligning those jobs, again, with courses, credentials, or certificates. And you're really like featuring those jobs just directly alongside that learning content, or inside completion emails to really just push the visibility factor. I think it fits in really, really nicely, with LMS and just like the overall, credentials that are being offered. So it makes sense to add it.
Yeah. One of my favorite success stories is we have a client who uses promotes the Career Center at their annual conference. They um, all job applications at the event go through their career center. So you see this huge spike in activity and results on that event month, but it continues, right? Because we're getting people understand the value, they see it, they're all of a sudden they're engaged, they have a profile, they're receiving some additional communications. So it gets people the digital ecosystem in a physical space, but it also does a great job at building retention in that space. All
Totally.
right,
And
we're
Susan has a good question, about adding the job board widget to their LMS. So we can definitely help you with that, Susan.
yeah, absolutely. Great. So now we're just about out of time. We did a good job of filling this time. So just wanted to provide a few key takeaways. I think, from my perspective, internal alignment, it drives momentum. It's really important. It sets the foundation for success. Again, if we can get people bought in sort of wide and deep, it does drive end goals, which is great. Raising the visibility pre-launch, like let's get it out there, let's start talking about it, let's mention it in webinars and conversations and meetings. Let's get a coming soon banner up, use any unused ad space, talk about it in community, whatever you can do, even if it's just talking about careers to begin with in community, right? And just getting that conversation going. It's a great opportunity. And then just remember, launch is just the beginning. So again, it's a powerful tool, but we need to keep it activated and keep people informed and interested, and that does, and we have these tools to do it. So, it doesn't need to be a huge additional lift.
And then lean on your ecosystem. We spent a lot of time talking about how a career center integrates nicely within your current tech stack, in terms of connectivity, pulling data back and forth. But really, it's a frictionless, experience. And so you want to make sure that you're really leaning on that to cross, promote and really team up with some of the things and the platforms that you're currently using. where users are already are. And then choosing the tactics and metrics that we discussed today that really match your capacity and your own unique use cases. Whether you're starting with good or maybe you're aiming for best, the consistency factor is really key. And at the end of the day, no matter if you're doing something that's good most of the time, and here and there you're able to sprinkle in a better or best, that's better than nothing. And so I think just kind of looking at it through that lens of what I do today is going to help in some way, and it's don't necessarily get hung up on kind of like, doing it all at once. It'll come, especially if you're putting the work in, which I know you all are. So
And I think, again, like choose the tactics and metrics that match your capacity. Don't overburden yourself with trying to do everything at once. If you need to move metrics, create an initiative, drive it at a metric, and then look at the results. In the meantime, build good foundational conversational delivery of the value you're generating for members.
for sure. And then I think this one ties in nicely. Obviously, we want to hear from you all. So if there's successes or challenges that you're facing, please, please, please utilize us as a resource. We love to hear what's working for our association partners and beyond, and what's not, and how maybe we can help each other really achieve success. So I know Josh has his Calendly here. He loves to hear from people. So,
Aaron, I'd love to talk to you. Sorry. Please
yeah,
grab my Calendly and let's chat.
definitely. And then we have another one of these sessions coming up. We are going to be back together talking in August. I know the summer is already flying by. I'm sure it is for you as well. We like to pack in some breathing room in between sessions. But this one is really going to be dedicated to that next phase of driving adoption and engagement. So we'll be back talking about those things on August 7th, same time. And the QR code that you see here, you can go ahead and scan and access to register for our next session. And we'd love to see you all there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was a ton of fun. Hopefully you all grab some valuable information, some strategy tactics you can put into action.
Yeah, and just keep an eye out on your email following the session. You will receive the recording, and then we will also be sending forth that pre-launch and launch playbook to market your career center. So thank you all so much for joining us today and let us talk about some of our favorite topics. So thank you, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.